Why are Y Combinator founders abnormally creating billion-dollar companies versus the other guys? De-risking yourself as a founder is always the most important thing. So what's unique about Y Combinator is they spent 10 years building software tools to allow you to become successful. When I first started my first company, DrChrono, it was during a unique time when there was not a lot of digitization that had happened. So, 2008, 2009, 2010 was I call it like the Renaissance period. And then it kind of continued on from there where there was like a renaissance in digital medical records. Essentially, we were like, I would say revolutionaries, where we blazed the trail in mobile, just building the first iPad medical record, building the first iPhone medical record, doing prescriptions for the first time, labs for the first time before anyone was doing it, all in a mobile experience. And, because of the iPhone taking off and everybody was buying these new like tablet devices, it was just the right time, right place. Like it was a fire hose of like new doctors and medical professionals trying to get that newer experience, which is, you want to get up and walk around and take a prescription and order labs and look at information and basically document in real time versus before that, everything was like a stationary computer. If you were to do something like that today in America, you'll have competitors like a DrChrono or others, but there's always a turnover of innovation. So I think the bigger innovators now are going to be in the AI space. So anybody doing anything in AI, there's so much happening there. There's so much investment there. I think probably, I talk about this one a lot. It's, people with disabilities. Like, how can AI help them? So much there now. Like if you have dyslexia, if you can't learn math, the rate of change in healthcare is going to be enormous. Also, like certain wealthy individuals can get certain treatments done. You can democratize that where like it will be fractions of a penny to have like an AI radiologist look at art. So even a human, like a normal person can just get like really amazing healthcare. Like that's the way I see it. It's just going to get better and better in that way. So at the end of the day, like AI has a lot of statistics, right? It's essentially statistics. It's the probability of the next word. In statistic analysis, like if you look at healthcare, like what's the probability of me getting a certain type of cancer because of my genetics, my weight, my location, what doctors I see, what pharmacies I go to, what gas stations I'm near, what poisons and toxins are near me. Like there's so many factors that AI will like give us way more insight into that. And I see that as a new, I spoke about like a trifecta when DrChrono was created. I see this as a new trifecta where AI is really going to change the way that medical professionals treat patients and the way that patients will interact with medical professionals. I mean, even just on the silly things like the human tasks that are like just simple, like scheduling appointments. If AI is getting as good as it is, you don't need people scheduling appointments in like 5-10 years. I have an AI agent. It sits there like a person and it will literally like you'll call and you won't even know it's a robot. And you'll say, hey, I would like to come in to see my cardiologist. And the AI agent will say, hey, John Smith, you've been here before. Is your insurance the same? And you'll say, no, I got a new job. And then it will capture that and say, I'll shoot you an email, send me your information, and we'll get you like into the next appointment. Does next week work at 2 p.m.? And you'll say no. And then it will literally find you at the right time. But to like labs right now, it's insane to me that like some of the lab companies out there, they send you this report that's almost unlegible, like LDL. It means nothing to the normal person. AI is going to let people know how to read their own labs at a better rate than like getting confused and having to have a medical professional walk them through this product. So the way that I view it is de-risk yourself as much as possible as a founder. De-risking yourself means applying to 10 of the best accelerators because accelerators take founders at a faster rate than some of the other investors out there. There's a couple of them out there. So Y Combinator is the creme de la creme in my book. Whether you think about the healthcare side and you think they're experts in healthcare, or whether you think some other accelerator is good for you, your odds of getting into any of these are extremely low. De-risking yourself as a founder is always the most important thing. That means is if you apply to 10 to 20 accelerators, I would say pick the top 10. Might be in your head a few. For me, the creme de la creme is Y Combinator. And why is it Y Combinator? Because they fund more startups than any of the others. The chances of success through that accelerator generally is higher than a lot of the other accelerators. And I'll explain through some of the factors why they have a lot of software tools. So what's unique about Y Combinator is they spent, I don't know, 10 years building software tools to allow you to become successful. And I'll give you an example. They have a heat map tool, and it tells you where all the other Y Combinator founders are in your area. And it sounds so silly, but like it's like one tool after another. And the tools are fairly easy to use. They have, other tools around investors. So like, for me, you can find a lot of investors because they give you an amazing database that's like updated by other founders. And it's not just other founders, it's thousands and thousands of founders taking this database like real time, and it's live, and it kind of creates a information exchange where in the past, in like the year 2000, year 1999, 2005, investors had a lot of power over the entrepreneurs, and there was no community really for entrepreneurs. Well, what Y Combinator did was flip it on its head. So when you're talking to an investor, you could go into the database and see how many companies have they funded. Do they have good etiquette as an investor? Do they treat you like a human being? Do they do a lot of like nefarious activities, or are they like a really good investor who like invests and supports you and gets you to that like next stage of your company? I don't know if other accelerators have that. I hyper fixate on Y Combinator because I've done it twice and I've utilized it as a tool. Just look at it as like a tool to like get you to success. And I think for a 2-hour time investment, take 2 hours of your life and just submit an application. And even if it's after the deadline, submit the application anyway, because they're reviewing applications. If the deadline happens, just take tonight and just submit it anyway. Create a blueprint for yourself that you can like, if you're rejected this time, you can go back and just re-update your application and say, here's my application with more users or more revenue. And the way that I view it with Y Combinator is they have 4 batches a year. They accept 90 companies per batch, give or take 90 to 100 companies per batch, right? Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's like, it's really up to them. They really make the decision. It could be 120 per batch, but that's 4 chances in a year that you can get in there. And they're looking for founders who are in it for the long haul, who can like build sustainable businesses. Y Combinator does like healthcare. They invested in me. So just remember, like, it does happen. They see the value, they value it, and they are looking for like those next big hits for themselves. So like when you pitch, this is some of the profiles that I think, these are some of the things I think that may fall short for, a founder, is if you don't have co-founders. If you're a solo founder and you're not technical, if you don't have the experience or domain knowledge in a certain area, that becomes a detractor, but the positives are revenue and users. So, for me, there's glimmers of hope getting in. The detractors will pull you down, but the others will pull you up. So like if you've been doing it 2 years, that'll pull you up. If you have, $60,000 in possible revenue, it pulls you up. If you have an actual $15,000 in revenue, that pulls you up even more. If you are an engineer, you may or may not be, it'll pull you up even more. They look at the pros and the risks, and they're on the fly and trying to figure out what is good and bad, explain what you do, and you show data. That is like one of the more important things. I think they look for that, and they look for people that are litigious and can explain things in a very articulate way. Most people, it's like less than 1%, but most people just come in with an idea and they don't have a co-founder and they're not technical and they just want to get the money so that they can hire people to build the thing for them. There's a lot of red flags that can happen for like an accelerator like that. And why is it better than a lot of the other accelerators out there? Because they just have infrastructure. They have speed of decision making. Like they'll make a decision within like, if they talk to you on a Zoom call, they'll make a decision within 10 minutes, that fast. You want to create opportunities everywhere. Friends at your former companies are opportunities. Applying to 10 to 20 accelerators are opportunities. Talking to as many people as possible like me are opportunities. Create that protection for yourself. So like you de-risk yourself by like information overload and like opportunity overload. So I think that, saying this accelerator is better than that one, I wouldn't think of it that way. I would think of it as if 5 accelerators offered you money and one said, we'll give you 2 million and one said, I'll give you 500,000. You have two options on the table. It's like, you'll be like, which one do I take? And it sounds silly, but there's one accelerator that gives $1 million right out of the gate. That's a really good opportunity. I can give you a list of accelerators. You should just over-index on getting into one of those. Is it good to go after like just angels? No, I think that's a good way to go, but just de-risk by doing accelerators also. And just don't put all your eggs in one basket with just one accelerator, because a lot of investors will like say you're great and we like you and keep talking to us. You probably are getting this a lot. You're great, we like you, we'll keep talking to you. That means they don't want to close the door for themselves if they see you taking off as like an accelerant. But you want someone that can like say yes immediately for you and like give you that money immediately. Ask this question, why are Y Combinator founders abnormally creating billion-dollar companies versus the other guys? One, Y Combinator is giving you the intros. So basically their demo day has more sustenance. They've figured out ways to convince investors to come to their demo days at a faster rate and at a larger scale. Just figured that out. And other investors don't want to hear that. They don't want to tell you that. The other accelerators are great, but the reality is, who creates the billion-dollar companies? What are your chances to get additional funding from another accelerator? Why Y Combinator moved to Silicon Valley is because most successful investors live in Silicon Valley. Why is that? If you just look at it, let's look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA, the average employee has I think it's $20 million now, which tells me they're all possible angel investors. Y Combinator situates itself near that, and they pull in all those investors from the NVIDIA community. They pull all the investors in from like the Tesla community. They pull all the investors in from Google. A lot of the partners are ex-Google. So Google has all these people that are ultra wealthy go to these Y Combinator demo days, and they'll hear their pitches. The rest of the world is great, but the reality is like Y Combinator is strategically situated itself where the most wealthy people are. Wealthy people don't generally move, but founders will move to where the wealthy people to get the money. So it's a very disjointed world where like Y Combinator decided we're going to have to move the whole company, Y Combinator. They did it intentionally. I don't know if you know this, to Silicon Valley several years ago. This was Y Combinator started in 2004 or 5 timeframe. And they moved to Silicon Valley quickly after, realizing how are they likely to get their companies funded. If they make their companies come here for 3 months, they get all the wealthy investors in a room because they live near them. And then basically you would be at Y Combinator pitching in person. It's in person again to all of these investors in person. Not only is there that, they've created a Bumble-like experience, or like one of these experiences where you swipe left, swipe left during demo day when you're looking at some of these entrepreneurs pitch on stage. So immediately you're getting feedback, I want to invest. And then they tell you how much. It's that fast. And it's a very like streamlined process where they basically figured out, how do we support the founder as much as possible for chances of success? It's getting them funded, getting them in like abnormal amounts of information to you. That means like giving you investor databases. It means giving you, they also have like a lot of hiring tools internally. I use these tools, so I know. Basically, I've gotten thousands of applicants through Y Combinator that want to work for us. Like they email me and they say, hey, I would love to work for you. Do the other accelerators have this? I don't know. But if you look at every partner at Y Combinator, they're an ex-founder of a tech company. So they understand exactly how to like create what they needed. And that is the culture that's there now. And it's like, why would you not apply is my thinking. It's like super experienced, ultra wealthy people may not apply. But for like a first time founder who's trying to do it, in my head, it's like no question to like try to get there. I mean, that's the right attitude. You can always say no. At the end of the day, like if you don't want to take their money, it's not like they can force you to take their money. And you can go to these people and like follow them to get this information too. I mean, here's a few, just go here, ycombinator.com, and apply. So just apply. Like, timing is critical. They're aware that startups need to get funded. And when someone applies late, I think they're very litigious about still looking at their application. Just trying to create a pressure point for people to apply. Just do it. And it's, it'll take about 2 hours if you really put in an effort. Save all of your answers so you could reapply again and just give them updates if you don't get in. This is basically just a list of accelerators. So Y Combinator, Techstars, Launch, Pair VC, AliCorp, IDEO, Seed Club. I like South Park Commons. They give you $1 million for a free ID. Yeah. So like your chances of getting into a South Park Commons are really high. They'll fund you $1 million, right? That's really great. The nice thing about a Y Combinator is they'll give you the $500,000 right out of the gate. And then there's 3 months from now, you have a demo day and your chance of raising more is significantly high. In my head, the average Y Combinator company can raise like $1 million to 10 million. It depends on the company, it depends on the founder. You get a lot out of this one specifically that the other ones may not offer. They may not have the sophisticated tooling that YC does. And YC does have verticals. They don't talk about it publicly, but they have specific vertical teams internally. Like they'll have like a biotech events. They'll have healthcare events. They'll have hard tech events. They'll have like physical device events. They'll have like SaaS events. They have, usage-based billing events. They'll have open source events. This guy is really great. His name's Yuri. I really like his advice. He posts a lot about Y Combinator. He's probably one of the best thought leaders like in YC. This is essentially all of the really good accelerators. On deck, I don't really know too much about this, so this one is just different. I don't know all the details of it, but you get 1 week in San Francisco, and I think it's more focused. I don't know if they give you money per se, but I think it says non-dilutive, so why not apply? And basically you get the San Francisco experience where you're like working in San Francisco. I think you live with the people and you connect and you almost build a network in a hyper way where you don't have to like figure out who do I meet with in San Francisco. So applying to and just going for a week. They may even offer like a place. I don't know. They may offer a place to stay or that you may be able to organize it. Apply to Kleiner Perkins, can't hurt. This is just one of their programs where they invest, I believe. South Park Commons. I just like the amount of funding you get from them. You get $1 million. Why not apply? HF0, residency for repeat founders. At the end of the day, even if it's, it says you're not a fit, just apply. I think it's worth it. This guy, Lenny, I really like him a lot. He gives a lot of really good insight, but here's some angels to go after. Ilya Glad is really seasoned. Again, like these are angels, so the chances of getting an angel are lower than getting into an accelerator. This guy did 415 deals in a year, Edward. That's on par with what YC does in a year. YC does a lot of deals. So this person is abnormally high. He's doing a lot of investments. But like one question you need to ask an investor, and it flips it on them, is you say, how many investments have you done this year? If they say 0, the chances of them investing are super low. Here's another list from another person. And then another one. This one's from a guy named Hugo. But there's a lot of these like types of people at list. People are actively like really putting these lists together now. Is it worth looking at these? The answer is yes. But for me, I think the most important thing is like brand. And I think Y Combinator has the best brand for like early stage companies. Here's a question that like, do you use Perplexity at all? So ChatGPT is more of a creative writer and it might do some really good cleanup for you, almost like an editor. What I like about Perplexity, if you use a Mac or a PC, you could download the native app. It's almost like your assistant and like doing research. So it's like a research analysis assistant and it's free. How many investments has Y Combinator done in the past year? I'm gonna save this. Let me just save this. It just basically in real time uses a lot of LLMs and aggregates a lot of the web in real time just to give you like an exact update. So it says here, typical investment in a batch, some of the rounds around between 1.5 and 2 million, like once they're out of YC. Currently is raising a total, like exact data on this stuff, like how many startups did YC accept in the past year? Let's see if it can pull this up. And why I'm looking at this is it will allow me to understand like your chances of getting in. 542 startups in the past year. That is insanely high. So winter 24, so they have different cohorts, was 260 companies. So it's under 1% acceptance rate, but the activity on just finding the right companies is extremely high. So they spend a lot of time talking to founders. And once they find someone they have conviction in, they'll like really go all in and they'll make the investment very quick and like seamless. What is the top startup? I don't know the answer, but the accelerator. It's just going to do research for me. And it's just going to give us some info. It didn't even list anyone else. I said, what is the top startup accelerator and why? So basically here it says YC has launched numerous companies like Airbnb, billion-dollar company, Dropbox, Stripe, Coinbase. Companies accelerated by YC have a combined value of over $600 billion. YC companies have raised $300 billion in follow-on funding. They give you $500,000. For $125,000, they take 7% equity. And then the rest is an uncapped safe. But, name all the top billion-dollar companies in Y Combinator. And then let's compare it to Techstars. So here you go. Okay, they give you just a couple, but I mean, all of these are amazing. And I'm like, they're all really, really good. So let's do Techstars. I don't think Uber was in Techstars. SunGrid was. Twilio might have been. PillPack. These aren't bad. Some of these are really, really great companies. I think I have a bias. For me, there's a bias there. But also you want to like de-risk yourself.